My son has been referring to us by our first names, or otherwise sarcastically as sir or ma'am, since he was a teenager, and it's something I've always despised. I hoped he would outgrow this phase, but unfortunately, it's been his habit for over 2 decades now. My husband and I are at present on our cross-country trip and have stopped for a few days to visit our son and his partner. While we were present, they were discussing plans they have with his partner's family, who live in the area. My son asked his partner to let mom and dad know we'll be over by 3 p.m. on Monday, in reference to his partner's parents. At first, I was in a moment of shock before the wave of emotions overtook me and I started to cry. No one offered comfort to me for a while before my son-in-law asked me if I was okay or needed anything. I decided to be open with them and explain how it hurt me that my own son refuses to call me mom but will happily do so to someone else. I feel like he even made a point to do so right in front of me. Meanwhile, my husband just decided to step outside because it's overwhelming for him when I cry. My son just asked me to calm down and even felt it necessary to tell me I could either collect myself or otherwise we were free to leave. He seems to think I was so emotional as a ploy to manipulate him rather than an honest display of how I feel. I just don't know what happened to my once sweet little boy. Am I the idiot for crying when I learn my son calls his in-laws mom and dad, when he calls us, his own parents, by our names? You are the idiot. Here's the thing. There's a reason he calls you by your first name, and to keep it up for 20 years, not just in a moment of teenage attitude, means it's a big, important reason that would have been impossible for a healthy person to miss. You need to stop having emotional outbursts, which everyone, even your husband, is clearly tired of, and honestly evaluate yourself. Get a professional, therapist, to help you dig through it all and to help you work on emotional regulation and self-awareness. In the meantime, work to minimize the impact of your outbursts on other people. Don't wait for your husband to leave the room. Leave before you start leaking. Take a walk, journal, quietly reflect, and return when you're ready to interact with people in a healthy, non-coercive way. Reminds me of my narcissistic mother-in-law. She would play the victim card and woe is me whenever things didn't go her way. Your husband leaves to avoid dealing with whatever drama you've just instigated, and your son is so over it and lets you know to fix yourself or leave. His partner was probably taken aback by your outburst and over-the-top reaction. Your son didn't wake up one day and decide to call you and your husband by your first names. So what happened? Lady, what's the missing reason you're not telling us? Usually, kids don't do this out of spite for 2 decades. There's a very valid reason that you don't seem comfortable telling. Also, given your son's reaction, he seems to have emotionally distanced himself from both of you, probably for the same reason as why he started calling you by your names. Usually, for a kid to abandon their blood relatives and choose strangers as their new family, a lot of bad crap has to happen. If we ask one of our children a question or to do something, my husband wanted them to say yes or no, sir, ma'am. My husband insisted on that with our children to help them learn manners. When we would ask our son not to call us by our first names, he would revert to that, knowing full well we couldn't claim to be upset with him over it. He was a teenager then, and he never gave me a true answer to why he stopped calling us mom and dad. My husband feels he was just struggling with the expectations of him as a young man. I always stood up for my children so they didn't have to grow up too fast. I was the one who stood up for my son when he decided to decline the USNA. And while my husband was disappointed at the time, he's now very proud of everything our son has accomplished while enlisted. My husband wanted all of his children to attend the USNA as he did and his father had, but our youngest son broke the mold in more ways than one. He wasn't an officer, and he didn't even enlist in the Navy. But my husband came around to understand our son's choices, since his career aspirations were only available to him the route he took. We're both now very proud of our little Marine, even if I've nearly died of several heart attacks over the years from him. You are the idiot, OP. Here's the very first of your missing reasons. You were never mom and dad to begin with, so I don't know where you get off crying about it now. You already know why he calls you that, so why are you holding it against him now? You raised him like he was in boot camp, and are now upset he keeps you at arm's length. What did you expect to happen? He was your child, not some cadet. I don't blame him for keeping things formal. You and your husband set the tone for this relationship. I cannot fathom what kind of idiot makes their kids call them sir and ma'am. You asked for this, so this is what you get. My boyfriend, 30, has a son, young grammar school age. He was a toddler when we started our relationship. His mother didn't want me to be involved in the care of their child, and she and I have never really seen eye to eye. In the beginning, it went really well, and his son was here every other week, but the older he got, the less time he was with his mom, and he's with us 100% now since his mom was arrested a year ago. In the beginning, we divided the chores and childcare equally. 4 months ago, my boyfriend got an opportunity to work on 3 projects, which could lead him to a big promotion. He's always working late, either from home or in the office. I've been doing all the chores and childcare since then. I cook, clean, get his son ready in the morning, and drop him off at daycare. The only thing my boyfriend has to do is get his son ready for bed. I told him last Friday that from Monday on I won't be doing the childcare anymore. He got angry. He said that we're a family and we need to support each other. He told me he needed me right now and that I just needed to be patient. I replied that this was his son and he needed to do most of the childcare. I've been doing all of it and it's not fair since he is his father. He then went into the other room, got his son and told him, "Mommy says she doesn't want to take care of you anymore," while pointing at me. I said to not call me that because I'm not his mother, and his son started crying. I, of course, comforted and apologized to his son because it wasn't my intention to upset him. My boyfriend is still mad and has been taking care of his son, but he won't speak to me. I don't think this was unreasonable. He is the parent and needs to do more of the childcare. And also, the mom doesn't even want me to be involved in childcare, so I'm already overstepping her wishes. My sister is on his side and says I'm at fault since he and I are a family now and he needs my support right now, and that the mother's wishes don't matter at all right now. Like, I don't think this was at all unreasonable, but I'm not sure if I was unreasonable here. Am I the idiot? Edit, I work, but I had to lower the number of hours to 20 or 28 hours per week. Mommy says she doesn't want to care for you anymore. Wow, he immediately went to emotional manipulation. Wow, how cruel can you be to take your anger at your partner out on a child? Whoa, he actually did that to his son? You need to break up with this man yesterday. Seriously, OP, he weaponized his child against you. How can you stand there and take that? He's using you as free daycare and emotionally manipulating you and his son to force you to stay in a bad environment. He'll probably try and walk it back and say he was stressed from all that work. He'll do better. Don't forget, at that moment, he chose to weaponize a child against you. He's selfish enough to potentially traumatize his son to force you to work for him. That's how little regard he has for either of you, beyond your use as free labor, when he's unhappy. And it's the kind of behavior you can expect if he's ever upset or stressed again. Woman, wake up. Bio Mom doesn't get an opinion, she's in jail. I wouldn't involve myself in this headache. 2 years and you haven't adopted the kid in your heart? Leave. You know you want to, but now you have his idiot manipulation for a reason. Everyone's the idiot here. The more you lie to yourself, the more this situation will suck. Your boyfriend is trying to trap you with guilt. I, female 25, have a close relationship with my brother, 27, despite our occasional disagreements typical of siblings. The issue took place last weekend during a family gathering. We were all enjoying each other's company when my brother made a lewd comment about my appearance. It was entirely inappropriate and not the kind of remark you'd expect a brother to make about his sister. I immediately asked him to retract his words. He merely laughed it off, insisting it was a joke and telling me to lighten up. The rest of the family looked visibly uncomfortable but remained silent. After the gathering, I confronted him privately, reiterating that his comment was unacceptable. However, he stood by his joke and claimed I was overreacting. He said it was just regular sibling banter. Feeling the need to stand up for myself, I informed the rest of the family about his behavior and the specific comment he made. I believe they had a right to know why there was tension between us. The fallout was immediate. Many family members were appalled by his remark, and he's since been shunned from family activities until he apologized and understood why his comment was wrong. Now my parents claim that I'm causing unnecessary drama and strain in the family by sharing what happened. They think I should have just shrugged it off because boys will be boys, and that he didn't mean anything by it. So here I am, feeling like I've done the right thing, yet facing backlash from my family. Am I the idiot for telling the family about my brother's lewd comment, which led him to being shunned? Not the idiot. Boys will be boys is such a lame excuse for not holding men accountable for their crappy misogynistic behavior. He's 27. That's not a boy. He's a man. He's responsible for his own mistakes and the consequences that come from those mistakes. Says a lot about your mom and dad, though, that the rest of the family are appalled and shun him because of what he said, but your own parents blame you. Guessing he's the golden child. Your parents are just focusing on making their life easier, and the fastest way to do that is to get you to stay silent. You were right to speak up. People who behave inappropriately in family and friend environments count on others being too scared of exclusion or conflict to push back, leaving their path open to continue the behavior without consequences. If it's not funny, it's not a joke. If something can be broken by truth, it should be. I, 27 female, returned home to my parents' house after about 3 years. My 2 older brothers and their families were also invited for a few days as a way for the entire family to catch up. I was beyond excited to see everyone. My oldest brother, Malcolm, 35, has 2 sons, preschool and young grammar school age. We would all be staying in our old rooms as arranged by my mom. The house is spacious, and I thought there would be no problems. There was. My nephews are loud. Very, very loud. I usually work a very demanding job and I'm sleep deprived 90% of the time. Anyway, I really didn't want to go on with this sleep deprivation, so I booked a hotel nearby. Malcolm found out and he kept telling me I was ruining the trip and family dynamics, that we were all supposed to be together now. I told him everyone would be more comfortable this way. He kept asking me for a reason, and ultimately I said it was because I wanted my own space to sleep in comfortably, and that it was hard to do with his kids running around. Malcolm got really upset and called me a horrible aunt and a terrible person. I told him I'd let our mom know and she was okay. He went on to call me the golden child who wouldn't tolerate the smallest inconvenience for family and said I was selfish. My other brother Paul, 30, has sided with him, but our parents agree with me and say as long as I show up for the main events, it doesn't matter where I sleep. I asked a few friends and they're all torn. Was I the idiot? Not the idiot. Your parents have their heads screwed on correctly. Who wants to try and sleep and enjoy a trip with a bunch of obnoxiously loud brats cavorting about? You've done the right thing for your own peace and sanity at the unanticipated cost of booking a hotel. That normal childhood noise is intense for the adults who live with them, and it's way intense for any adults who aren't used to it. Gosh, in my old house, the cat sounded like a herd of elephants galloping across the kitchen floor while I was in the basement. I can't imagine kids. Malcolm found out and he kept telling me I was ruining the trip and family dynamics, that we were all supposed to be together now. Just wondering, maybe your brother was counting on you looking after the kids. I mean, you being the childless younger sibling woman, it seems to be the main one in these family reunions. A single, child-free auntie is at serious risk of being stuck being on-call childcare. I'm sure the brothers hope OP can get some experience caring for the kids, while her brothers get to relax and enjoy the visit without dealing with their own kids. The fact that brothers' wives didn't come with them or hasn't been mentioned speaks volumes to me. Their plan all along was for OP to be the babysitter along with their mother. Not the idiot. Enjoy the hotel room and enjoy being child-free even more. I, 30 male, have a house in Florida, and around evening time, after a long day of work, etc., I love taking a swim in my pool, in my backyard. I just find it soothing, relaxing, and it helps me sleep better. It's something I look forward to every day. A week or so ago, while I was walking my dog, a lady came up to me and said, "Oh, hi, I'm Janice. I'm your new neighbor. So good to see you. I just wanted to introduce myself. I live right next door to you with my daughter and we've just moved in, etc." And then she shook my hand and walked off. All good. The house's owner is named Gary. He's a great guy, he's in his 50s, and I've known him for ages. He usually rents out that house, and so these are his new tenants. He used to live in the house, but he's been renting it out for the past few years. So every day around 6 or 7 I go for a swim in my pool. I take my shirt off, just wearing my swimming trunks, and go right into my pool and start swimming. Every day I see a lady sitting on a balcony just watching me swim. I don't care, I just mind my business swimming, or I might sit on the chair in the pool just relaxing. Again, minding my own business. Yesterday, while I was swimming at 7 p.m, I heard a loud banging noise on my door. I get up from my pool, dry myself, put some clothes on, and go to the front door and say, "Hey Janice, how's it going?" She said, What's going on is you're trying to lure my innocent daughter into your trap, and I know how this goes. I then told her, Janice, I'm not luring anybody, and I'm minding my business. She then said, I don't care about all that, but listen, put some clothes on and stop swimming in your pool. We have children over here. I then just say, it's my pool, and it's my property, Janice. I'm not doing anything. And I just go inside and close the door. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot, and tell Gary he has a wackadoo tenant who's harassing you. Also, get some cameras and have them pointed at the pool and your front door. If your neighbour does this again, report them to the police for harassment and give the footage of them at your door and footage of you just swimming and minding your own business. I'd be prepared for more of this if I were you. Janices don't tend to go back into the woodwork once they've crawled out of it. Her coming over with her paranoid little spiel equals the music getting really spooky at the beginning of a horror movie. I sense that crap is just getting started. Yeah, something's not right with her. It's probably going to escalate. There's only one solution. Can you get a Borat mankini? LOL. Maybe she should tell her daughter to stop ogling you while you're swimming.